Hello again and welcome back to our course on PSC 15. In this section we're going to take our first detailed look at expert editing. Or to be more precise, we're going to take our first detailed look at the expert editing toolbox. Quite a bit of attention from now on will be focused on how to use that very impressive array of tools on the left there. And then later on we'll also look at other key expert editing features such as the use of layers and the application of filters. But for the moment let's concentrate on the tools. And in fact, although you can see quite a few tools there, even that's deceptive because some of those little icons don't correspond to one tool, they can correspond to several. When we were looking at quick editing a few sections ago, you may remember that the quick selection tool actually gave access to 3 tools, for example. And that leads me to the very first general point to make. If I hover over the quick selection tool in the full toolbox, note the tooltips there, where there is a wedge at the top right, that indicates that this particular icon gives access to more than one tool. When I click in expert mode, there are actually 4 tools. There's the quick selection tool as before, there's the selection brush tool, the refine selection brush tool, and this tool, the magic wand tool. I'm not actually going to use the magic wand tool at the moment, but I'm going to select it. And once it's selected, the icon for that tool becomes the icon that's shown in the toolbox. So the toolbox doesn't always show the same icon. It shows the icon for the most recently used tool in the little group of tools that are accessed by clicking on an icon in that location in the toolbox. And for those of you who like to use keyboard shortcuts, note that I've currently got the mouse cursor over the magic wand tool in the tool options. When I hover over that, I see an A as a keyboard shortcut. And if I press just the A on the keyboard, it cycles through the tools in that quick selection tool group. So that's another useful way of cycling through the tools. If I wanted to access a different tool, for example, let me hover over the tool below that, the spot healing brush tool. You can see the keyboard shortcut there is a J, so if I press a J, that tool is selected, and then I can step through using the J the other tools in that set. Having pointed that out to you, as I mentioned already, I tend not to use keyboard shortcuts on courses anyway, because I think it's very difficult for you to see what I'm doing. I like to click on something where you can see something visibly be clicked on the screen, and I normally like to say what I'm doing as well. Back to the toolbox. The tools are arranged into groups. We have a view group at the top with the zoom and the hand, which we've used already. We then have a select group with many selection tools that we're going to spend quite a bit of time working with later. We have the enhance group. We've used 1 or 2 of those tools already. For instance, we used the red eye removal tool when we were looking at quick mode editing. We have the draw group, where we can draw things, fill them in, color them in, draw borders around them and add text. And then we have the modify group, which includes, for example, the crop tool. Below that, under color, we have 2 little panels, and they show what I will loosely call the current foreground color and the current background color. And we'll be looking at foreground and background colors later on in the course. The way to think of those at the moment is that if I did something to the foreground of an image, it would be black, the foreground color, and if I did something to the background of the image, it would be white. Now clearly I won't always do things in black and white, so I need to be able to change those colors, and in fact they are default colors, so I'll very often use a color other than the default foreground and background when I'm working on images. Now for a few other points to do with working with tools. You've already seen how to hide the tool options. So if I switch off the tool options using that button, if I now choose a different tool, automatically I get the options again. If you want to switch off that behavior so that if tool options are switched off by you, they stay switched off, there's a little menu over at the right here in the tool options panel. And one of the options there is auto show tool options, which is currently checked. I'm going to uncheck that. I'm going to hide the tool options. Now when I change tool, I don't automatically see the tool options panel. I can always manually open it again, and of course I can always manually change that default back to auto show. Another very useful option on this little menu is Reset Tool. Many tools have a large number of options. We've seen a couple of tools with quite a few options already. If you've been working with a tool and you want to put everything back to the default tool options, click on Reset Tool. And if you want to reset all tools, there's an option there as well, Reset All Tools. That's it for now on the Expert Edit Mode toolbox and its options. In the next section, we're going to take a look at cropping in more detail. I'll see you then.